15 gemstones wealthy collectors fought over in secret. Most gemstones are valued for beauty, but the rarest ones are valued for silence. Because somewhere in the world, behind locked vaults and closed doors, the ultra-wealthy are fighting over stones you'll never see in museums, never find in stores, and never hear mentioned in public. These are the gems that don't change markets. They change relationships, rewrite family dynasties, and spark conflicts that unfold in private jet lounges, encrypted phone calls, and rooms without cameras. Stones so scarce that even acknowledging they exist is enough to start a bidding war. Today we're entering that world. A world built on secrecy, obsession, and silent rivalry, where a single crystal can shift power and a hidden purchase can end a decades-long feud. But this isn't a list of beautiful gems. This is a dossier. 15 cases of minerals that the world's richest collectors fought over quietly, strategically, and sometimes viciously. If you're watching this, you're not supposed to be in this room. So pay close attention, because once you know these gemstones exist, you'll understand why the people who own them never speak their names out loud. Let's begin. Ranked 15th, Blue Raven Sphalerite. Spain. Across the abandoned zinc mines of northern Spain, a gemstone once flickered in the dark with an intensity collectors never dared to discuss openly. Blue Raven Sphalerite is not famous in public markets, and that is precisely why elite collectors fight over it. Its dispersion exceeds diamond, its colors shift unpredictably, and its supply ended before the world understood what it was. The less the world knows, the more the wealthy compete. Blue Raven Sphalerite formed when zinc sulfide cooled in unstable temperature pockets deep underground. The electrons locked into abnormal positions, creating a crystal matrix with extreme light dispersion. The mine layers that produced these anomalies closed permanently in the late 20th century, leaving behind only a few hundred fine specimens, most already in private vaults. The rarity is not only geological, it is final. No new discoveries, no new supply, only circulation among those wealthy enough to hunt for it. Blue Raven never entered royal history or mythology. Its cultural value emerged from silence. In mining communities, it became known as the hidden fire, a stone admired quietly among families who understood its uniqueness before collectors ever noticed. That anonymity became its curse and its weapon. Because no one publicly recognized it, wealthy buyers could acquire it quietly without market competition, until they began discovering each other. Once collectors realized how few high-grade stones existed, Blue Raven became a symbol of private victory, a treasure whose ownership could be concealed, controlled, and contested without public scrutiny. Collectors rarely show Blue Raven Sphalerite. Not in exhibitions, not in private events, not in investment portfolios. It is a stone held in closed fists rather than glass cases. Some owners keep it in lightless drawers to preserve its dispersion. Others believe its beauty diminishes if seen by too many people. A few treat it as a personal token of power, something that proves they acquired what others tried and failed to obtain. This secrecy fuels desire. Every unseen gem becomes a rumor. Every rumor becomes a chase. Blue Raven Sphalerite almost never enters public auctions. When it does, it vanishes before bidding begins, purchased internally by an agent representing a high-net-worth buyer. Most transactions happen in three ways: closed-door viewings arranged between dealers and ultra-wealthy clients; shadow bidding, where multiple collectors privately submit offers for a single stone; quiet interception, where one collector pays a dealer to block another from even seeing the gem. It is not the price that sparks conflict, it is access. A fine 5 to 6 carat crystal with high clarity can trigger a chain of offers within hours. Collectors outbid each other not just to obtain the gem, but to deny its existence to rivals. Some transactions end with non-disclosure agreements. A few collectors claim they have lost stones to interference. Anonymous buyers who paid above market rates just to end negotiations. This is the core of Blue Raven's appeal. The competition happens behind closed doors, and no one outside those rooms ever knows the outcome. As Blue Raven disappears back into the private vaults of those who fought for it, the countdown moves to a gemstone whose history is entwined with royal courts, where secrecy was not a choice, but a weapon. Ranked 14th, Burmese Imperial Spinel. Mogok. Before rubies claimed the world's attention, another red gemstone ruled the ambitions of kings. Burmese Imperial Spinel, mined from the legendary Valley of Mogok, once adorned the crowns of empires, and later became the object of quiet battles between the world's wealthiest collectors. Its glow is unmistakable, a red-orange ember, bright yet dignified, carrying the warmth of fire without the aggression of flame. But what makes Imperial Spinel truly dangerous is its history. Centuries of misidentification, royal theft, political disappearance, and private reclamation. Those who pursue it today are not simply buying a gem. They are trying to rewrite a lineage. Imperial Spinel formed deep beneath Myanmar under conditions so specific that geology has yet to replicate them elsewhere. High-temperature magnesium-aluminum crystallization inside marble veins produced a red so rich it was mistaken for ruby for hundreds of years. For centuries, the crowns of Russia, England, Persia, and India displayed enormous rubies that were, in truth, Imperial Spinel, the Timur ruby, the Black Prince's ruby, the Krong ruby of Persia. These mistakes were not corrected publicly until modern gemology exposed them, but by then the damage and the mythology were already complete. To collectors, this cultural confusion became an opportunity. If Spinel could pass for the jewels of emperors, then owning a perfect Burmese Imperial Spinel meant possessing a piece of history few could trace or challenge. Its ambiguity became a shield, one that wealthy collectors exploited. Imperial Spinel has a ritualistic role unlike any other gemstone. It was the stone of borrowed authority. Rulers wore it to symbolize power they didn't yet have. Nobles used it to signal wealth they could not prove. And in the modern private market, elite collectors do the same. Owning a flawless Imperial Spinel is a silent declaration. I possess what history once mistook for royalty. Some collectors keep the gem beside ancient manuscripts, believing the two amplify each other. Others place the stone in dark drawers wrapped in silk cloth, not to protect it, but to keep it unseen, maintaining the same secrecy that once surrounded it in royal treasuries. The market for Burmese Imperial Spinel is not chaotic. It is controlled, curated, manipulated. Most transactions occur through consultants with ties to old Asian and Russian collections. Some stones circulate only between elite families, never entering modern auction houses. Others vanish for a decade, only to reappear when a competing collector unexpectedly passes away. Wealthy buyers compete for stones with unbroken lineage to royal treasuries. These gems spark bidding wars where offers double without hesitation. Collectors pay premiums not for the stone itself, but to prevent rivals from seeing it, a tactic where a collector purchases a lesser quality Spinel and spreads misinformation to lower the value of a target gem, then buys the real one secretly. Imperial Spinel's beauty attracts admiration, its history attracts ambition, but its market attracts conflict, making it one of the most ruthlessly contested red gemstones in existence. As the glow of Imperial Spinel fades back into the vaults of modern collectors, the countdown moves toward a gemstone far less regal, but far more elusive, a mineral whose vibrant pink rosettes cause private collectors to hunt it with the intensity of a scarce artifact. Rank 13th. Cobaltocalcite, Congo. In the copper-rich hills of the Democratic Republic of Congo, among decades-old tunnels carved by miners with lanterns and hammers, a mineral once appeared that seemed almost out of place in the harsh landscape. Cobaltocalcite, especially the rare pink rosette formations, was soft in appearance, delicate in color, and deceptively innocent. But nothing about its story is innocent. The moment wealthy collectors discovered how few perfect rosette clusters existed, Cobaltocalcite became the center of a quiet, escalating competition. A conflict fought with private offers, strategic misinformation, and deals made far from the public eye. Cobaltocalcite is calcite infused with cobalt ions, a substitution that occurs only when cobalt-rich fluids seep into limestone cavities and crystallize under a very narrow range of temperatures. The result is a color that seems impossibly vivid, a pink so saturated it borders on electrical. The rosette formations, clusters that unfurl like mineral blossoms, are even rarer. They form only when, fluid pressure is low, temperature declines gradually, and growth space is perfectly symmetrical. A sudden change in any variable fractures the formation. This is why perfect pink rosette clusters can be counted in dozens, not thousands. The mines that produce the best specimens have since closed, their entrances sealed to prevent collapse, leaving collectors to fight over the limited pieces already circulating. Unlike gemstones revered for brilliance or hardness, Cobaltocalcite became associated with restraint, subtlety, and hidden influence. In several mining towns, elders kept small pink pieces as emblems of emotional balance, believing the stone soothed conflict and softened pride. Ironically, that symbolism would not survive. Once the mineral reached European and Asian collectors, pink rosettes took on a new cultural meaning, the beauty of control. To own something fragile yet flawless became a sign not of gentleness, but of dominance, the ability to protect what others could not even acquire. In elite collections, pink rosettes are rarely displayed openly. They are too vulnerable to light, heat, and accidental vibration. Collectors present them only during private meetings, often as negotiation pieces, status markers, or subtle leverage points. Others reveal them briefly, seconds, not minutes, during private gatherings to communicate exclusivity without granting familiarity. A few treat the mineral as a loyalty test, allowing intermediaries or potential partners to view the piece but not touch it. The fragility of Cobaltocalcite makes every interaction a ritual of precision. One careless moment can shatter a specimen and end a legacy. The market for pink rosette Cobaltocalcite operates almost entirely off record. The reasons are simple. Perfect clusters are extraordinarily rare. Most come from now inaccessible locations, and collectors view them as non-replaceable assets. Because of this, competition becomes intensely personal. As the fragile pink rosettes retreat into vaults and private safes, the countdown shifts to a gem born of sharp geometry, not softness, one that triggers a very different kind of competition, structured, strategic, and nearly instantaneous. Ranked 12th. Chrome Cerussite Twin Stars, Namibia. In the arid corridors of Namibia's Orongo region, where minerals grow like geometric arguments carved into stone, a phenomenon appeared that defied both symmetry and probability. Chrome Cerussite Twin Stars, perfect intersecting star-shaped crystals tinted by traces of chromium, became one of the most mathematically improbable forms in the mineral kingdom. By the time collectors understood its rarity, the few specimens that existed were already locked away. Chrome Cerussite didn't ignite public obsession, it ignited private warfare. Every star cluster was a target, every offer a strategy, and every silence a weapon. Cerussite is a fragile lead carbonate mineral, known for forming delicate reticulated patterns. But the twinned star formations, two or more crystallographic twins intersecting at exact angles, are rare even under ideal conditions. The chromium impurities that give these stars their icy green or muted silver tinge appear only when chromium-rich fluids enter fissures at the perfect stage of crystallization. Temperature remains stable for an extended duration, and pressure changes do not fracture the forming structure. If any condition shifts by even a fraction, the entire formation collapses. For this reason, flawless chrome cerussite twin stars are geological accidents. Nature rarely produces geometry this exacting, let alone preserves it. The pockets that yielded the finest clusters in Namibia are now exhausted. Their scarcity is terminal, not temporary. In certain circles of European and Middle Eastern collectors, a perfect twinned star represented discipline, precision, the ability to secure something nearly impossible. These were not stones worn or displayed casually. They were shown to peers who understood mathematics, crystallography, and the fragility of perfection. The cultural value of a twin star did not lie in its color or luster, but in the fact that few people in the world could identify, evaluate, or appreciate it correctly. A gem only the knowledgeable could value is a gem the wealthy love to compete for. When a twin star appears, even as a rumor, collectors move immediately. Some wire deposits to lock the specimen before seeing it in person. Buyers hire mineral scouts to track extraction localities, dealer inventories, and private movements. Information becomes currency. Deception becomes a tactic. To discourage rivals, collectors sometimes downplay a specimen's perfection by hiring appraisers who emphasize fragility or minor flaws. When competitors retreat, the same collector quietly buys the crystal at full value. Some deals include agreements to remove all photos, videos, or documentation from public view. The fewer people know a twin star exists, the more powerful the ownership becomes. Many stars vanish immediately after purchase. They are placed in safe rooms, inert gas cases, or archival storage, both to protect their structure and to deny other collectors the chance to acquire or even see them. Chrome Cerussite twin stars are not part of the luxury gemstone circuit. They belong to the precision-obsessed elite, where ownership equals mastery and mastery demands secrecy. As the geometric stars disappear into vaults of collectors who treat competition like strategy, the countdown moves to a gemstone shaped like a blade of sky, one that travels only through private hands. Ranked 11th, Jeremejevite, Namibia. Jeremejevite is one of the few gemstones that wealthy collectors refuse to discuss publicly. Extremely rare, dangerously fragile, and almost never available on the open market, it has become a silent battleground among elite buyers who compete not for prestige, but for possession of a gem so scarce that most collectors have never seen a perfect specimen in their lifetime. The secrecy begins with its formation. Jeremejevite grows as long, glass-like blue crystals inside unstable pegmatite pockets. Most break before extraction. A flawless, unbroken crystal is so rare that everyone becomes a target. Why collectors fight over it? Only a handful of high-grade sky blue crystals exist. Most were mined from a few pockets in Namibia that are now exhausted. Dealers know exactly which collectors want it, and how desperately. Every new specimen that surfaces sparks immediate private bidding wars. Collectors do not want the world to know they own Jeremejevite. They want competitors to fail at finding it. When a dealer hears rumors of a Jeremejevite find, wealthy buyers wire deposits before seeing the stone. Speed beats inspection. Some collectors pay dealers a yearly retainer. If a Jeremejevite appears, call me first, and no one else. Multiple collectors submit offers privately, each trying to outbid the others without revealing their identity. No public auction, no records, no provenance trail. Once purchased, the gem goes into a vault, no showcasing, no photography. The goal is not to display ownership. It is to prevent competitors from ever acquiring it. Why Jeremejevite is perfect for secret collectors. Too rare to appear in mainstream auctions, too fragile for exhibition, too valuable to announce, too coveted to let rivals see. A Jeremejevite transaction is not celebrated. It is erased, so only the buyer knows they won. Collectors treat Jeremejevite with military-level caution, viewed privately under controlled lighting, handled only with anti-vibration gloves, transferred in custom shock-proof cases, shown only to trusted associates as a demonstration of power. The ritual is not about admiration. It is about displaying access that others do not have. Why Jeremejevite defines secret collector warfare? Because the supply is gone, every specimen becomes irreplaceable. Because so few exist, every new sighting triggers conflict. Because the world barely recognizes it, only the elite understand its value. To wealthy collectors, Jeremejevite is not a gemstone. It is a victory, one earned quietly, guarded viciously, and taken from the ambitions of someone else. Ranked 10th, Burmese star rose quartz, a gemstone that looks gentle, but creates some of the most silent, strategic, and personal fights in the world of ultra-wealthy collectors. Star stones exist everywhere, but perfect stars, perfect alignment, perfect symmetry, that almost never happens. Yet in the Mogok Valley of Myanmar, decades ago, nature carved a small handful of rose quartz cabochons so precise, gemologists still call them statistical miracles. And the very moment wealthy collectors realized how rare these Mogok stars truly were, a private war began. Not loud, not public, but hidden, fought through secret calls, proxy buyers, and deals designed to erase every trace of the gem's existence. To understand the conflict, you must understand the phenomenon. A star in rose quartz forms when millions of needle-thin rutile inclusions align in exactly the right orientation. But in 99% of material, those needles twist, bend, scatter, or collide, and the star becomes weak or blurry. In Mogok, for reasons science still struggles to explain, these rudal needles aligned with surgical precision. 6 rays, crisp edges, a perfect center point. A star that behaves like it's been engineered. Only a tiny portion of one geological zone produced them, and that zone is now gone. That finality is why collectors fight, because every star-grade piece that surfaces today is one of the last the world will ever see. In the public market, you will almost never see a Burmese star rose quartz, not because they are unpopular, but because they're intercepted long before they reach an auction room. When a dealer finds one, a message goes directly to a single buyer, a name chosen carefully, someone known to act fast, pay fast, and keep quiet. For everyone else, other collectors, rival investors, museum buyers, the stone effectively never existed. And when 2 wealthy collectors learn about the same stone, a silent bidding war begins. No public offers, no auctioneer, just encrypted calls, private agents, and price escalation until one collector retreats. Some even deploy decoys, fake bidders, to confuse their rivals about who is actually trying to buy the stone. Collectors don't want to show this gem, they want to control it. The star appears only under a precise beam of light and only from the correct angle. It's delicate, vulnerable to scratches, and easy to mishandle. But the true reason they hide it? Because owning one gives them private leverage in elite circles. It's a quiet signal. I acquired something rare, before anyone else even knew it was available. For wealthy collectors, Burmese star rose quartz is not jewelry. It is a controlled resource, a rare geological phenomenon that can be owned, but never shared. And as we move to number 9, the conflict shifts from light to lineage. A gemstone whose value is defined not by color, but by a single inclusion pattern that only a few collectors fully understand. Ranked 9th, Royal Demantoid. In the world of green gemstones, emerald may dominate the headlines, but Demantoid, the Russian kind, with perfect golden horsetail inclusions, dominates the secrets. These inclusions aren't flaws. They are signatures, microscopic spirals of bisolite frozen inside the crystal. And the sharper the horsetail, the more violent the competition becomes. Perfect horsetail. Demantoids form in only one place, the old alluvial zones of Russia's Ural Mountains. The mines are nearly inactive. New material barely exists. And the old specimens? Most are already locked inside private European vaults. This creates the perfect storm, a gemstone with vanishing supply, scientific uniqueness, and traceable provenance. All factors that ultra-wealthy collectors weaponize against each other. Whenever a top-grade Demantoid appears, collectors don't compare prices, they compare access. No one wants the gem to reach public auction, because an auction means visibility, and visibility means competition. So the race begins before the stone is even photographed. Dealers rarely list horsetail Demantoids. They make a single phone call to the collector most likely to buy instantly. The goal is simple. Get the stone off the market before rivals even know it surfaced. A Demantoid with a strong horsetail isn't just rare. It's traceable to specific historic diggings. Collectors study the inclusion patterns like signatures. This fuels a different kind of rivalry, owning not just a gem, but a piece of the original Ural mining legacy. To hide their identity, buyers send intermediaries, agents from Geneva, Antwerp, Dubai, never themselves. And when the fight intensifies, some collectors plant false rumors, suggesting a stone has a fracture or an inclusion break to lower a rival's confidence. Then they buy the exact stone quietly. Once acquired, a Royal Demantoid almost never returns to the market. It goes into a vault or a private safe, sometimes into a family trust. Collectors don't resell these gems. They erase them from the ecosystem, because the fewer horsetail Demantoids left in circulation, the more powerful each owner becomes. When owners reveal one, the ritual is intimate and controlled. A fiber optic beam, a slowly turning gem. and inside, a golden horsetail swirling like smoke trapped in crystal. The moment lasts seconds. The gem is returned to darkness. The vault closes. Collectors show the horsetail not to impress, but to remind their guests, this is a battle I won, and no one else even knew it happened. Number 9 reveals a truth about the ultra-wealthy. The most intense fights happen where the world cannot see them. And number 8 brings us to a gemstone whose secrecy doesn't come from beauty, but from chemistry, a stone that predates the Paraíba craze and now sparks covert competition across continents. Ranked 8th, Cuprian Tourmaline. Today, collectors talk endlessly about Paraíba Tourmaline, the neon blue, the electric glow, the impossible intensity. But before Paraíba was even discovered, another stone quietly reshaped the high-end market. Cuprian Tourmaline, pre-Paraíba era material, copper-bearing, glowing, and produced in quantities so small that only insiders even knew it existed. And that secrecy gave birth to one of the most competitive underground chases in modern gemstone history. Why collectors fight over it. Cuprian Tourmaline is not the same as Paraíba. It is older, rarer, and, most importantly, finite. These crystals formed in isolated pockets in Nigeria and a few forgotten mines in Mozambique. When those pockets dried up, the supply ended forever. And when wealthy collectors realized that early generation Cuprian material produced colors that Paraíba mines could not repeat, the gem became a private currency among elite buyers. Dealers with old stock, material bought decades ago, became instant targets. Collectors contacted them privately, offering full purchase of their entire inventory on the condition that nothing was ever shown to anyone else. Some dealers were paid simply to stay silent. To confuse rivals, certain collectors mislabeled early Cuprian stones as inferior non-copper tourmalines, only to later certify them quietly and secure them into vaults. This tactic lowered competition and blocked other collectors from discovering how valuable the stones truly were. A few trade events hosted unofficial midnight showings, exclusive rooms, no cameras, no receipts. High net worth buyers placed cash offers on the spot. Some brought empty briefcases expecting to leave with stones. Others brought lawyers. These weren't auctions. They were coordinated seizures. When two collectors wanted the same stone, sabotage became common. Pressuring dealers, spreading misinformation, submitting fake provenance reports, buying lower quality stones to flood the market and confuse pricing, or offering to buy a rival's entire collection just to secure a single piece. In this world, owning a pre-Paraíba Cuprian wasn't about beauty. It was about dominance, what makes the stone so dangerous. The paradox is simple. Cuprian Tourmaline doesn't glow as violently as Paraíba, but it glows deeper. It carries a tone Paraíba cannot produce, a hybrid of neon and dusk, electric yet earthy. And because only insiders understand the difference, the gemstone lives in a market where knowledge equals advantage. Collectors fight for these stones in silence because revealing ownership would only attract more competitors. Why this gem sits at number 8. Because Cuprian Tourmaline isn't just rare. It's rare in a way that encourages manipulation. Dealers hide it, collectors disguise it, and those who own it never let it appear in the same room as their rivals. And as we move from number 8 to number 7, the battlefield shifts from chemistry to legend. The next gemstone is not fought over for glow or rarity, but for its reputation as the lost blue of kings, a stone with a history powerful enough to trigger bidding wars before it's even seen. Ranked 7th, Kashmir Sapphire. Kashmir Sapphire is the only blue gem where rarity isn't a number. It's a timeline, because every true Kashmir Sapphire was mined within a brief window in the late 1800s. No more, no second wave, no rediscovery. What exists now is everything the world will ever have. And that fixed supply turns wealthy collectors into rivals, not for beauty, but for dominance. Why its rarity turns into conflict. Kashmir sapphires are judged by their silk cloud luster, a glow created by microscopic inclusions that scatter light like mist. This glow cannot be replicated. not in Sri Lanka, not in Madagascar, not in laboratory ovens. So when collectors fight over a Kashmir, they are fighting over an artifact that nature refuses to repeat. Kashmir sapphires rarely show up in auctions. When they do, it's usually by mistake. And before the stone can even be photographed, 3 or 4 wealthy collectors send private advance offers, higher than any expected hammer price. In many cases, the stone never reaches the stage. It gets pulled, whisked away, sold quietly to the highest invisible bidder. Collectors don't want to compete publicly. They want to eliminate competition entirely. If one collector targets a stone, another will quietly hire a gemologist to question its origin. A single rumor, maybe Sri Lankan, maybe heated, maybe recut, can collapse a deal instantly. When the rival steps back, the saboteur swoops in and buys it. Collectors often approach elderly owners or heirs of old estates, offering to buy entire vault collections just to capture one Kashmir stone hidden inside. No resale, no announcement. Once acquired, the stone disappears. Top dealers in Geneva, Hong Kong, and Tokyo are paid yearly retainers by elite clients. The rule is brutal. If a Kashmir appears, call me first. Block everyone else. These agreements make the battlefield uneven. Some collectors never even hear about the stones they're fighting for. When a Kashmir sapphire is finally shown, the atmosphere changes. Lights dim, white balanced lamps turn on, and slowly the silk cloud glow emerges. No owner talks during this moment, not because the gem is beautiful, but because everyone present understands the weight of that glow. They are looking at a piece of history that someone else tried very hard to own and failed. For the ultra-wealthy, Kashmir sapphires are not just stones. They are negotiation leverage, status armor, a way to silence rivals. The ownership itself becomes a statement. I secured something you wanted, and you never even knew it was available. That is why the wars around Kashmir are always secret, because announcing ownership invites enemies. And as fierce as the conflict is for Kashmir sapphire, the next gemstone sparks a different kind of fight. Not over history, but over patterns that appear and vanish like ghosts. Ranked 6th, black opal. Not the bright, rainbow opal everyone knows, but the one collectors whisper about, the ghost pattern. These opals don't flash color. They don't scream for attention. They appear quiet, until a thin beam of light awakens a shifting, translucent pattern beneath the surface. A pattern that seems to move, fade, and reappear as if the stone is alive. And because only a handful of pockets in Lightning Ridge ever produced this phenomenon, ghost pattern opals became one of the most aggressively hunted stones in private collector circles. Why collectors fight over it? The ghost pattern is not play of color. It's a structural anomaly, a veil of semi-transparent layers that create the illusion of movement. Some see shifting silhouettes, some see drifting clouds. Some describe it as watching a memory trapped in stone. But scientifically, no one fully understands why the ghost pattern occurs. That uncertainty, combined with absolute rarity, makes collectors battle for these opals with a level of secrecy that borders on paranoia. Miners who still hold unworked tunnels are constantly approached by wealthy buyers, not to mine the stone, but to buy exclusive access to the rumor of a pocket. Collectors pay for the possibility of a ghost pattern. No collector makes a public offer. Instead, they request a private viewing under strict lighting, a single controlled beam. Dark room, no phones, no witnesses. If the ghost pattern appears, the negotiation begins immediately. If it doesn't, they walk away without a word. In some cases, collectors don't wait for a stone to hit the market. They approach owners directly, offering sums so large they dismantle entire collections. Ghost pattern opals are often bought not to display, but to remove from a competitor's influence. Rival collectors sometimes circulate false information. A new pocket opened. A miner found a pattern. Someone is cutting a new piece. The goal? To send competitors chasing shadows while they quietly secure the real stone elsewhere. Why ghost pattern opal is the perfect secret collector gem, almost impossible to identify without proper lighting, cannot be photographed accurately. nearly impossible to replicate, too complex for mass buyers to understand, fragile enough to prevent public handling, and rare enough that each piece becomes a private treasure. Only the most trained eyes can confirm the pattern, and that exclusivity fuels the war. To own a ghost pattern opal is to own a phenomenon others cannot verify. And that's the ultimate power, a gemstone whose value increases the fewer people understand it. For the ultra-wealthy, it's not about beauty. It's about control of mystery. And if black opal is the gemstone of mystery, number 5 is the gemstone of impossibility. A mineral so scarce, collectors don't fight to own it. They fight to keep others from even learning it exists. Ranked 5th, Grandidierite. A gemstone so rare, even collectors with unlimited budgets struggle just to confirm that a high-grade specimen exists. Grandidierite is already rare in any form. But transparency-grade material? That's a different universe. These crystals come from tiny pockets in Madagascar, and nearly all of them are opaque or heavily included. Only a fraction turns translucent, and the number of stones that reach true transparency can be counted on one hand. This is why wealthy collectors don't argue publicly about Grandidierite. They fight for it in private, using silence and pressure instead of bids and applause. Why collectors fight over it? Transparent Grandidierite has no stable market. There are no price guides, no average values, no predictable auction results. The scarcity is so extreme, the gemstone behaves more like a classified artifact than a commodity. If a collector acquires one, others know they may never get another chance. And that is when competition becomes personal. When a transparency-grade Grandidierite surfaces, it almost never reaches public listing. A message circulates quietly among elite dealers. A piece exists. No photo, no weight, no shape. Just the rumor alone launches a chase. Some wealthy collectors buy the gem without seeing it, based purely on the dealer's reputation. This creates a ruthless hierarchy. Top collectors get offered stones first, mid-tier collectors get leftovers, and everyone else is kept in complete darkness. In this market, pressure is currency. Collectors push owners into selling using tactics like guaranteed anonymity, multi-stone package deals, or offers so high the owner fears refusing them. Not because they want the stone immediately, but because they want to remove it from rival reach. For transparency-grade Grandidierite, the real war isn't just for the gem, it's for the information. Collectors deliberately restrict access to gemological reports, hide old listings, and buy out previous photos from websites or archives. The goal is simple. If no one knows the stone's history, no one can trace it, challenge it, or target it. Why transparency Grandidierite is a secret collector weapon. It's rare enough to be powerful, obscure enough to avoid attention, and valuable enough that collectors weaponize it against each other. This is the kind of gemstone that increases a collector's influence, not when shown, but when hidden. To own a transparent Grandidierite means one thing: you succeeded where other elite collectors failed. It's not about price, not about size, not even about beauty. It's about possessing something that rivals know exists, but can never find. And if transparency-grade Grandidierite is a war over disappearing clarity, number 4 is a war over transformation. A gemstone that changes color so dramatically, collectors fight over it the way they fight over art that moves. Ranked 4th. Alexandrite, the gemstone that changes color so dramatically and so unpredictably that wealthy collectors treat it like a living opponent. Alexandrite is famous for one thing: a color shift so complete it feels like the stone is changing identities. Green in daylight, red under warm light. A perfect U-turn, instant, clean, absolute. But what most people don't know is this: only a microscopic fraction of Alexandrite performs the shift flawlessly, and the collectors who know that fight over those stones with a level of secrecy bordering on obsession. Perfect color shift Alexandrite doesn't behave like a gem. It behaves like an event. In daylight, it glows with a bluish forest green under incandescent light. It snaps into a deep blood red, not gradually, but instantly. This is not common. This is geological luck. And because the original Russian mines are exhausted and Brazilian pockets produce only rare pockets of perfect shift, collectors know that once a flawless stone appears, they may never have a second chance. Collectors don't trust photos. They don't trust certifications. They don't trust dealers. The real test happens in a dark room with controlled light sources. 2 lamps, 2 angles, 2 seconds. The stone either shifts perfectly or it's worthless to them. This test is performed privately because revealing a genuine, perfect shift Alexandrite invites rivals instantly. When a major Alexandrite is scheduled to hit auction, it rarely makes it that far. Elite collectors contact the auction house beforehand, offering a confidential buyout at a premium. For the auction house, it's guaranteed profit. For the collector, it's a way to eliminate competition. And for everyone else, the stone simply withdraws without explanation. To sabotage rivals, collectors spread technical doubt. The shift isn't pure. The phase isn't Russian. The daylight hue leans too blue. It might be Ceylon. Be careful. These whispers destroy confidence, causing competitors to back off, only for the saboteur to purchase the stone quietly. Some collectors keep their Alexandrite ungraded. Some grade it but hide the report. Some resubmit the gem under different lighting standards to create ambiguity. Why? Because Alexandrite's entire value hinges on perception. He who controls the perception controls the stone. Most gemstones shine. This gemstone transforms, and the transformation is unpredictable unless you know exactly how to test it. This gives owners an upper hand. They can reveal the shift dramatically in a controlled moment to an audience who understands its importance. This is not showing off. This is dominance, a perfect U-turn. Alexandrite is revealed like a magic trick. Daylight lamp on green appears. Switch to warm light. Red blooms instantly. No transition, no hesitation. A snap. In that second, everyone in the room understands why collectors fight so aggressively over a stone that behaves like 2 different gems. Why it sits at number 4. Because perfect U-turn Alexandrite is a gemstone that weaponizes uncertainty. A stone whose value skyrockets if rivals cannot confirm its quality. And the wealthy know this. That's why they keep the best specimens buried in vaults, locked behind NDAs, and shown only during high-stakes negotiations. And if Alexandrite is the battle of transformation, number 3 is the battle of extinction. A gemstone so rare, so violently limited, and so impossible to replace that even the world's richest collectors fear losing it. Ranked 3rd, Red Beryl. The gemstone so rare, collectors don't just fight over it, they fight over the chance to fight over it. Red Beryl is beyond rare. It is beyond scarce. It is quite literally one of the most limited gemstones ever discovered on Earth. Dozens of diamonds are mined every hour, emeralds every minute, rubies everywhere from Myanmar to Mozambique. But a non-fractured red beryl crystal may not appear for years. And when it does, wealthy collectors enter a kind of conflict that almost no other gemstone can provoke. Most red beryl forms as microscopic shards, too fractured, too thin, too distorted to cut. A true, clean, faceable crystal requires geological perfection. Stable beryllium flow, rare manganese concentrations, a cooling process so sensitive, one fluctuation destroys the entire crystal. This is why experts estimate that for every 150,000 diamonds, only 1 cuttable red beryl exists. That ratio alone creates warfare, the world's only consistent source of gem quality. Red Beryl, the Wawa Mountains in Utah, is not an open market. It is a battleground of private claims, exclusive leases, and future rights agreements. Wealthy collectors have been known to buy rights to future pockets before they even exist, just to block other collectors from having access. When a non-fractured crystal appears, a clean termination, deep raspberry color, no internal breaks, dealers don't list it. They hide it. Then they call 3 names, the collectors known to pay immediately. All 3 respond at once. Offers escalate in silence. Someone overbids. Someone withdraws, someone wins. And the stone never appears in public again. To sabotage each other, collectors use weaponized misinformation. That crystal has internal stress. The color grade isn't pure. It's from a secondary pocket. These rumors are not mistakes. They are tactics. When the target buyer hesitates, the saboteur buys the stone privately. In the red barrel world, collectors don't simply buy gems, they buy vaults. A single non-fractured crystal hidden in an estate can trigger a multi-million-dollar purchase of an entire collection, just to secure the stone before rivals ever hear about it. And when the deal closes, the crystal disappears into a safe. No photography, no posting, no boasting. It becomes a silent trophy. Red Beryl is revealed under strict conditions: a cold neutral light, a slow rotation, and a magnification check for fractures. When the crystal is flawless, the room changes. Collectors don't speak, they calculate. This is a gem that shifts power, because whoever owns it controls access to something the world cannot replace. Why Red Beryl sits at number 3? Because its rarity is absolute, because ownership is permanent, because every non-fractured crystal added to one vault removes it from all others forever. There is no circulation with Red Beryl, only disappearance. And that disappearance is the source of every conflict surrounding it. If Red Beryl is the gemstone of extinction, number 2 is the gemstone of legacy. A red so intense, so historically protected, that collectors fight not just for the gem, but for the right to claim they deserved it. Ranked second, Burmese Pigeon-Blood ruby. A gemstone so powerful, the fight for it has existed longer than most countries. Among all red gemstones, only one color holds true authority: the pure, undisputed, old mine Burmese Pigeon-Blood. This is not a marketing term. This is not a jewelry store shade of red. It is a glow, a deep, vivid crimson that radiates as if lit from within. And the few remaining stones with this ancient fluorescence sit at the center of the most intense, private, and politically sensitive battles in the collector world. Pigeon-Blood rubies from Myanmar's old Mogok mines are finite. The historic veins that produce the best stones are nearly gone. Modern mining cannot repeat the chemistry that created that signature glow. And that scarcity turns the gem into a weapon, one that wealthy collectors use to gain influence, negotiate power, and destabilize rivals. These rubies rarely move through normal dealers. They move through diplomats, intermediaries, and individuals with access that money alone cannot buy. High net worth collectors court political connections not for favor, but for a chance to be in the room when an old mine stone quietly surfaces. When a top Burmese ruby is scheduled for auction, the listing becomes a target. One collector contacts the auction house, offers a private buyout. Another finds the seller and pays them to withdraw. By the time the auction date arrives, the ruby has evaporated, and the public never learns what happened. No gemstone provokes more fights over paperwork than Burmese ruby collectors hire historians to authenticate mines, gemologists to confirm fluorescence, and lawyers to challenge a rival's provenance. Some even purchase outdated records from old Burmese companies to piece together origin evidence that no one else can access. The fight isn't for the gem alone. It's for the story that justifies its superiority. When a collector discovers that an estate may hold one old mine ruby with pigeon-blood glow, they don't buy the gem. They buy the entire estate. Furniture, art, safe contents, everything. All of it purchased just to secure one ruby hidden in the mix. Why old mine Burmese? Ruby is collector ammunition. Because it is the only red gemstone that behaves like a political relic. It grants status, it grants leverage, it grants narrative power. And in elite circles, the collector who owns the best Burmese ruby becomes the reference point, the standard others whisper about. A Burmese pigeon-blood ruby is shown under 3 lights: neutral daylight, warm incandescent, UV to reveal the old mine fluorescence. When the glow floods through the stone, deep, pure, unmistakably Burmese, the room falls silent. Not from admiration, but from recognition of what the owner now controls. Why it ranks above Red Beryl? Because Red Beryl is rare, but Burmese ruby is power. It affects reputations. It changes market behavior. It influences relationships between elite families, auction houses, and multinational collectors. It is not a gemstone. It is a crown without a kingdom, and everyone fights to wear it. And if number 2 is the gemstone of authority, number 1 is the gemstone of silence. A neon blue phenomenon so rare, collectors don't fight for it publicly, because acknowledging the fight would reveal the stone itself. In first place, Paraíba Tourmaline. Not the common stones, not the bright ones you've seen online. We are talking about the impossible ones, the zero variance, neon blue crystals that almost no one has ever witnessed in person. Collectors don't fight over these stones publicly because acknowledging the fight would confirm the stone exists. And for Paraíba at this level, existence itself is classified information. These crystals glow with an intensity that feels unnatural. A blue so electric it looks self-lit, as if the stone is generating its own light. And the geological window that created them? Closed. Gone. Never repeated. The original Brazilian mine at Batalha produced a few pockets. Just a few. And then the earth sealed itself again. That short burst of geological anomaly created a gemstone that the world will never see twice. With every other gem, ruby, sapphire, emerald, competition is visible. But with Paraíba, collecting is not a competition, it is a hunt for something so rare that showing interest invites predators. Collectors who chase these stones don't raise paddles, they don't sit in auction rooms, they don't talk, they move quietly, carefully, one phone call, one encrypted message, one shadow. When a true neon blue zero variance Paraíba appears, dealers don't list it, they don't photograph it, they don't hint at it. They call one person, one, and if that person hesitates for even a moment, they call the second. After the third call, the stone is gone. No record left behind. There are no bidding wars, no counteroffers, no public negotiation. Just 2 questions. Is the stone real? How fast can you pay? The faster collector wins. The slower collector never learns what happened. To prevent rivals from hunting them, some owners refuse to acknowledge the stone at all. They deny its existence. They deny past transactions. They deny photographs. In elite circles, silence is proof of ownership. When the stone is acquired, the ritual is absolute. Immediate vaulting, no jewelry mounting, no public grading, no exhibition, no social media, nothing. A zero variance Paraíba is shown only when the owner chooses, and only to the few who understand what they are seeing. Because Paraíba is the only gemstone where collectors are not afraid of missing out. They are afraid of acknowledging they are looking. The moment you look, someone else might look too. And the moment 2 people look, the war begins. So the best strategy is silence. When owners reveal the stone, the moment is nearly motionless. A dark room, a slow lift of the vault lid, a blue glow, soft at first, then blinding. No one speaks, because words break the moment. And after just a few seconds, the lid closes. The Paraíba disappears again as if it was never there. In the world of elite collectors, every gemstone is fought over. But Paraíba? Paraíba isn't fought for. Paraíba is erased, hidden, protected, and feared. The ultimate treasure is the one the world does not realize you stole. These 15 gemstones were never meant for the public eye. They moved through vaults, back channels, and private hands, leaving no records, no paper trails, and no second chances. Some fueled rivalries, some reshaped fortunes, and some disappeared so quietly their owners deny ever touching them. But now you've seen what most collectors spend years trying to uncover. The stones that generate conflict in silence. If this journey opened a door you weren't expecting, stay close, because there are more hidden wars in the gemstone world. Battles over minerals rarer than documents admit, veins that closed before history could record them, and secrets guarded not by security systems, but by fear. So if you'd like to follow this trail deeper into stories collectors never want told, make sure you're here for the next episode. Thank you for watching, protect your curiosity, and we'll meet again in the next chapter of the hidden world of gems.